Hey, welcome back to the Glycogen Cycling channel. It has been a bit since I've made a video, for sure. But we're back with another race recap and a new team for this year, for 2021. I joined Waldo Racing. So I have two teammates in this race. You can see one up in front of me, number 234. He's right there. And then I have one just to the back right of me. So two other guys in this race, and some other new updates since last video I've done, really, is I downgraded to a Cat 3 from a Cat 2. So I'm gonna make a whole video on this, but to make a long story short, I had a bad crash in early January last year. Need to gain my confidence back, decided to just downgrade, hopefully do a little bit easier races, get my confidence back in the corners, and then upgrade back to a 2 at the end of the season, and then start 2021 fresh, ready to go, confidence gained, and ready to crush the P12 races again. Well, as we all know, COVID happened, and races kind of sputtered out at, March last year. So here we are, Cat 3, 2021 season, and we're gonna crush it. So this race was pretty chill. There was some actually pretty strong guys here, and the guy who actually won, he won solo off the front, and he started a breakaway on going into lap 2, was off the front solo until lap 4 or 3.5 maybe, and we caught him, and then we actually got one of our own teammates in the breakaway, and that kind of sputtered out, but the guy was able to just continue on and win solo, and so it kind of didn't really work out as planned for us. So we kind of just wanted to get a guy in the break, and hopefully that would have been me, but it just didn't work out today. And as you can tell, the weather is pretty chilly. It's 48 degrees. This was in Gainesville, Florida in end of February. So not the weather we're used to. I mean, down where I live in Fort Myers is probably, normally 70, 75, 80 degrees. And that's really what you're training in. And to just go to 48 and off and on rain, slick roads, not a super fun weather change, to say the least. But luckily it stayed dry most of our race, and towards the end, the roads actually started to dry out, and we had some good racing. I've actually never done this race before, the Swamp Classic. They've had this race go on every year I've been down here. I just never have made the trip up, because it's like a 4-hour drive-ish, around there, 4 or 5 hours. And I just never made the trip up for the weekend, but this year I decided to actually do it. And this course is super fun. Pretty technical, some narrow roads, some uphills, some downhills, and you can see in the course map in the top right corner, this section right here is probably the straightest it is, and then after that there's just a bunch of turns, and I mean, you got to know how to handle your bike at some of the points, as you're going to see coming up at this turn was where a lot of people hit it out of the corner. So really overall for this weekend was just gain some confidence back. First race back really since my bad crash where I took out a chunk of my shoulder. I will spare you the pictures. But you can do group rides and things, but it's just not the same as an actual race. And to go and just do a 3-4 race, a lot of people, we'll talk about that actually, because a lot of times I think it's frowned upon to downgrade, but in my mind, like, I want to be a Cat 1 at some point. And if that's the ultimate goal, like, just staying as a Cat 2 and getting, you know, your butt kicked and getting dropped because you can't handle your corners properly, it doesn't make any sense to just continue on and just be a Cat 2 just to say you're a Cat 2, you know? So it's really better in my mind to just downgrade, get the confidence back, know how to handle your bike, you know how to get nudged and like avoid bigger crashes at, you know, a somewhat slower, more manageable speed, and then just move back up with more confidence as a Cat 2 and then do better as a Cat 2 versus, you know, just struggling to hold your own. And, you know, that was just kind of my reasoning behind it. I'm gonna stand behind that. And, you know, I could care less, like, saying if I'm a 3 or a 2, like, that doesn't matter to me. So here we are in this race, and that's just the reasoning behind it. So I got my teammate on my wheel. This corner they really like to hit it out of, and, you know, I knew they were going to slow down at this uphill section, so it doesn't make sense to just sprint out of this at a, you know, 1200 watts. Like, just hold 450, don't go super into the red zone, and just ease back up to them. And that's, you know, that's how to save your legs. And I know I had teammates in this, so you want to save their legs too. So just ease back up to it. So that was, you know, half the first lap, and here we are at the second half of the last lap here. You can see the roads dried out a little bit. Temperature heated up a little bit too. And by this point, it's not, you know, you're not super freezing. Like, you're warmed up, you're ready to go, and you're comfortable almost. You're not super hot and you're not super cold. Another thing to mention is on lap 2 in this race, which is really unfortunate and just shows the kind of luck I have. There was a turn where part of the field went right and part of the field went left. We were supposed to go left, and for a split second I was like, what direction do we go? And it kind of just made me go straight, and I was just kind of just figuring out what direction I'm supposed to be going in. And that little split second decision just to go straight for an extra second caused someone to run into my rear derailleur and bend the heck out of my hanger. So the last 50% of this race, last half of this race, I only had pretty much my 4 biggest gears. So if I shifted any further up into my cassette, my derailleur would just go into my spokes, and, you know, obviously you don't want to do that because you're going to either rip off your derailleur or break your spoke, and then you're out of the race. So it was shifting fine for the last 4 gears that I had. So luckily this course is mostly flat, and that was somewhat okay. I was still kind of not 100% confident in it. Like, I don't want to go full tilt necessarily in case it, you know, slips on the gear, because I've had that happen to me before as well. So definitely not ideal. So because of that, I knew I just wanted to kind of get away, and so I put in a little dig in a second here just to kind of see what would happen. So I have a little opening here and decided to just kind of give it a little dig. I know we're coming into the sprint in like 2 miles or so. So I put in a little effort. There was a guy that was gonna come with me. You can see on the rear camera. And pretty sure he just gives up because I just went kind of by myself. So he's just looking for someone to pull through. Nobody really wants to pull through. And they kind of give me a gap. But they also know the finish is coming up, so they don't really want to give me too much room. And that's just kind of bad on my part. And this was a complete headwind in this section, so it's not really the best to go by yourself here. If I had one other person, maybe it would have worked out. But you can see I had a good amount of room, and I'm not like going slow. So at this point, what my teammates need to do is just go to the front and kind of just stop people from, you know, if they're going to try to pull really quick, they kind of just got to mess up the rotation a little bit. If someone tries to attack, they got to be on their wheel and just hold the wheel completely and not let anyone go through. And this part is like kind of a false flat uphill into a headwind. So you can see my speed really tanked right here. 23, 24, and they finally got there organized in the chase. So you can see they're coming back at this point. And yep, this move didn't really work out, unfortunately. So we do have one of my teammates right there. I'd like him to be a little bit further up, but again, I know the sprint's coming up, so he needs to just stay fresh in case it didn't work out, which it didn't. And so at this point, we're just leading out one guy, and that guy's Andre. He's right by my side, and I told him I'd lead him out for the finish. He's got a better sprint than I do. My sprint's absolutely terrible. I can hold a lot of watts for a long time, but when you want to give me, or when I need to do a nice burst, it's not ideal. So this part's pretty much straight uphill, as much as you're going to get in Florida. We're at a 2% grade, it says. I think it's a little bit more than that. Here we go, 3, 4. So it's a decent sized hill for Florida. For Florida, don't be laughing. And this part was just crazy to me. Like, we were going so slow, like 13 miles an hour. For a finish of a race, it just seemed kind of crazy to me, and that kind of threw off our timing a little bit. Again, this was our first race together, first race back after a year off. So we definitely need to work on our lead out a little bit. And the fact that we're rolling into this finish at 15 miles per hour and 150 watts, it's definitely a change of pace because, you know, again, I'm used to the P12s, so, you know, you're going to be used to, you know, 500-600 watts and just holding that until the finish at this point, maybe 400, and just going hard. But, you know, the fact that I'm coasting at that point, 110 watts, you know, 0 watts, 200 watts, and 19 miles per hour, and on a flat road, we were definitely going way too slow, and we were, based on this, way too far up in this field. We definitely should have been a little bit further back and been a little bit more patient. And as you're going to see, we kind of get a little bit too anxious. And we have some guys attacking here. And our sprinter is that guy up, you know, 2 wheels ahead of me right here. Right here, 2, whatever. Andre's right there. And I should have just stayed on these 2 guys' wheels. I should have let them go in front of me because I needed a couple more guys. 1K to go at this point. And again, I'm sucking up too much wind. Luckily, these 2 guys come around me, but still, I need about 2 or 3 more guys because these guys are just blowing up. And again, this headwind section is not great. So we're going down into this. And again, remember, I only have my 4 biggest gears, which is ideal now, but my derailleur is still a little bit messed up. So I get on this guy's wheel and start my lead out, and my rider comes around me, and I just say, go, 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 go. And we're just a little bit too soon. We needed 1 or 2 more guys in front of me to make that actually ideal. Because you can see I probably let him off like 200 meters from the line. That was just too far in that headwind. Sorry about my phone. So that's the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Also, sorry about the camera angle. It kind of is tilted. I had a new helmet, and for this video and the next one, it's kind of tilted a little bit. So that'll be fixed in the 3rd video from now on at the Chain of Lakes race. So the next video up is going to be the crit for the Swamp Classic, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've stuck with me over this little break we've had, and I'm back to making videos. So thanks for everyone who subscribes, and I'll see you in the next video.